right, Detroit Lions said they want to get Isaac TeSlaa more involved. Now, I'm going to clip in a 97.1 and ticket caller calling in and said that, you know, Brad Holmes gave up all these assets. He gave up all these assets. He gave up all these assets for Isaac TeSlaa for him to be a project player. That's what he said. He gave all these assets up for him to be a project player. What was the point of that if they didn't have any plans on playing him right now? And ultimately, it's not always about the here and now. Sometimes it's about the later, right? But at the end of the day, you know, most people are in their impression that the Lions window is now, and they shouldn't have probably made the move if they wasn't going to play him. Not saying that they're wrong at all, because at the end of the day, I like Khalif Raymond, but you know, you understand that the Lions are struggling to get the ball down the field to Jameson Williams. Therefore, Jared Goff doesn't have, and they struggling to run the ball a little bit right now. He doesn't have the windows in the middle of the field where he likes to throw the ball. So now what teams are doing is they playing, you know, St. Brown and Laporta. They playing them for the intermediate, short to intermediate routes, and they taking that away. And right now the Lions are struggling to run the football. So they saying, hey, everybody else gonna have to beat me. Sam Laporta, Amon Ryan gonna beat me. A run game is struggling. J-Mo, he can't beat us right now. Khalif Raymond, he does all these underneath routes. Yes, you need another threat that they have to worry about. You know what I'm saying? You need a threat down the field. Khalif Raymond is not that threat down the field. And that's what they missing. Like when they had Tim Patrick was the guy that, okay, they blitzing, and I got to get the ball. I can throw it up to 6'4" Tim Patrick, and I trust him to get the football. That's the thing about it. Khalif Raymond, you don't get that with Khalif Raymond. Yeah, Khalif Raymond to move the chains, but you got Laporta to move the chains, the backs out the backfield to move the chains. You got Amon Ryan to move. You need somebody that's going to, outside the hashes, jump up and make a play. When they got rid of Tim Patrick, they lost that. When they got rid of Tim Patrick, they lost that. That's what nobody really talking about. When they got rid of Tim Patrick, they lost that ability. And they just said, okay, you know, J-Mo, you know, he'll figure it out. But he ain't that type of guy that's going to jump up and win those 50-50 balls. When they blitzing and Goff got to get it off, and I could just throw it up to Megatron, I could throw it up to Herman Moore, I could throw it up to Jermaine Crowell. You know what I'm saying? You can't throw it up to J-Mo. He ain't that tall. You can't throw it up to Amon-Ra St. Brown. TeSlaa is the guy that you can throw it up to. You know? TeSlaa is the guy that you can toss it up to and he can go get the ball. They're missing Tim Patrick and nobody's talking about it. Probably because Tim Patrick isn't making a lot of noise in Jacksonville. But they're missing him and it's not being talked about at all. That threat of him, his big body. I remember Roethlisberger, when he lost Plexico Burress, for years he complained about not having a bigger target. Because you trust them to go up against 5'11", 5'10", 6-foot DBs. When you have a target 6'3", 6'4", and I can throw it up and you can go get it, there's a trust factor there. There's a trust factor there. You know? And right now, they don't have it. Khalif Raymond ain't jumping over nobody to get no touchdown. Am I lying? He not. He not. So when they have Tim Patrick and Josh Reynolds, bigger receivers, and they can throw it up and they can make a play on the ball. You know, they put a lot on the offensive line, and that's why I say TeSlaa, they need to play TeSlaa if you're going to get rid of Tim Patrick. Look, if you wasn't going to play TeSlaa, you should have kept Tim Patrick then. You know what I'm saying? If you just gonna say we're gonna get rid of Tim Patrick and keep Khalif Raymond there, and like, what was the point? You don't have a guy that can jump up and get those 50-50 balls. So when teams are blitzing, I can throw it up to a 6'4" mobile receiver who can run, and they can, like I said before, the caller had a point. You go out here, you trade all this capital for a kid. The kid has an amazing preseason, and then you put Khalif Raymond in front of him. And you get rid of Tim Patrick. What was the point of that? Honestly, what was the point of that? If y'all felt so strongly about TeSlaa and he knew the playbooks and the plays he can make, he should be wide receiver number 3. If not, you didn't feel comfortable, you wanted to develop him, cool. Keep him and Tim Patrick. It made absolutely no sense. And that's another reason nobody's talking about that they're struggling. They're struggling to move the football. Their offense don't have a Josh Reynolds, that big body receiver, that possessor receiver, or the guy that can jump up and get those balls. They don't have it. They don't have, remember, they got their first win when they finally acquired Josh Reynolds. Don't forget that. One of the first receivers that Brad Holmes got was Tyrell Williams, 6'3", 6'4" receiver. Remember him? He only played like 4 snaps and got injured and got an injury settlement. You know? People forgetting their history, brothers. Y'all forgetting y'all history. That big body receiver for the Detroit Lions is one of the reasons that Lions often struggling. So when they blitzing, they just throw it up to Tim Patrick. He can make something happen. You throwing it up to now. You want to play TeSlaa? When you threw it up to TeSlaa and TeSlaa made plays on the ball, you know, y'all just didn't play him again. You know, Khalif Raymond been around here. You know, Tim Patrick came in and instantly took that spot from him. So that's what we're trying to figure out. That's what we're trying to figure out. Honestly. Khalif Raymond can't do. He can't do what TeSlaa and Tim Patrick are doing. So you got a whole bunch of smaller receivers out there not named Sam Laporta. You know, not no tall receivers. Who going to get those? Like when they blitz, you can throw it up to Megatron. You could throw it up to Tim Patrick. You could throw it up to Crowell. You could throw it up to Herman Moore. That's a blessing. And then on top of that, you have a quarterback. If he doesn't trust you and you don't get open, he don't throw you open. He don't give you opportunities unless they're there. That's another thing people don't talk about Jared Goff enough. Matthew Stafford, and it comes with the territory with the interceptions and stuff like that. Matthew Stafford trusts his receivers and give them opportunities. The thing about Goff, he has to be sure that it's there. If there's no trust between you and Goff, or you ain't right where you need to be, that's why him and Jameson Williams struggle so much. That's why they struggle so much. That's why they struggle so much. It's because if J-Mo ain't right where he need to be, when he need to be there, they struggle. They struggle. That's a product of Jared Goff. Goff has no improv in his name. He is the worst improv quarterback in the National Football League. He can't improv with mobility. He can't improv with his arm. He ain't gonna be like, let me just give this motherfucker a chance right here. You know what I'm saying? Let me give him an opportunity to get the ball. Nope. If you ain't open or you ain't exactly where you supposed to be when you ain't getting the ball, he ain't gonna trust it. He ain't gonna trust it. He ain't gonna trust it. So take it for what you want to take it for, bro. You know, but hey, it is what it is, man. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist for more videos like this. Hit the link tree. Find me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, the whole 9. Appreciate the love and support.